All right. Hello, everyone. You're listening to You Got It with Warrior Woman 91. All right. So I just got back from LA. Actually, I didn't just get back. I'm recording this a week after I returned from LA. And what a whirlwind trip. I'm going to talk about the trip a little bit. I'm going to talk about some stuff that I was thinking about while I was in LA. But before I get into all of that, I just have to say it's a really good place to go on vacation. I lived there for almost 2 years, and it was very different. I had never been there before, really, prior to the negotiations of my having moved there and then living there for 2 years. So I'd only ever lived there, and I never actually, or I shouldn't say never, I rarely took the occasion to actually participate in the LA vacation scene, because it is the place where most people go on vacation. Most people are not living in LA. Contrary to popular belief, in LA, the majority of the United States is not actually Los Angeles, California. However, it is a great place to go on vacation. There's a lot of stuff to do, and I continue to kind of kick myself because while I lived there, I really didn't do much that was like exciting or fun that was like within the vacation type thing. I didn't do a lot of those kinds of things until closer to when I left, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is my last chance. I'm going to have to go do these things. So, but basically I went to visit friends from Daily Wire, and I went to Malibu. I went to Zuma Beach. Highly recommend that beach. Do not ever, I mean, you can go, just say you've gone, but I do not recommend Santa Monica, because that was pretty much the only beach I really ever visited when I lived there, and that was mostly because I didn't know any better. The beach, so that's garbage. That's like homeless people all over the place, people trying to pickpocket you, people trying to take your wallet from you, whatever. People are smoking pot everywhere. It's disgusting. It's just, don't go to Santa Monica. I know it's famous. I don't care. I've been there probably total of 4 times, maybe. And I didn't do a whole lot of like beach going or any of that stuff while I lived there. So, but I just really do not recommend going to Santa Monica. The beach you should go to is, and you've got to be willing to make the drive, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, it is worth it. Go to Zuma Beach in Malibu and start there and then work your way up the coast, because that's basically what I did. I drive to Malibu Bluff. I go and look at the bluff and the beautiful view, and then I drive down all the way to Zuma Beach, enjoy that beach. Then you keep going up and you just enjoy. Basically all I did after I went to Zuma was drive up the coast and just look at the coast. It's a phenomenal drive. Like, just even if you don't want to stop and pay for parking, just the drive. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is the reason why I need to have video podcasts, which I'm hoping that the next episode will be video. I'm hoping if I can land the guest that I've been working on getting for the next episode, then hopefully we will have a video episode for you guys, and that will be very, very exciting. But back to Zuma Beach. I could live there. Like, when I retire, I want to live within driving distance of Zuma Beach again, because it's clean. It was $15 for parking, but you guys, it is worth every penny just to be able to have a nice, clean beach without any ruffians, without any homeless, without anybody pickpocketing you. Like, there's nobody. I'm never worried that somebody's going to harass me on that beach like I am in, for example, Santa Monica or San Francisco. It's just because it's upscale, because it's expensive, because it's where like the movie stars go. Like, that's why it's clean, and that's why it's good, and you're going to pay an arm and a leg for parking, but it was worth my arm and my leg and my toe and everything else that they took from me just so that I could park there. It was completely worth it. So those are my recommendations for vacation. I drove all over the Ventura upper LA area, and it was very relaxing. It was amazing. So that's my little plug on my vacation from last week. Zuma Beach is not sponsoring this podcast, but if they would like to, even though it's a state beach, I'm paying for something. I'm paying for parking, you guys. So somebody's making money off of that beach, and it's not me. So if you want to sponsor me, please feel free. Reach out. I don't care. It's fine. So basically what I wanted to talk about is things not to do when you're in LA. And I'm going to tell a story that all of my friends who have, who probably listen to this podcast or don't, have heard this story. But for my fans that have not heard this story, this happened 2 years ago when I first moved to LA, and I didn't know what I was doing. I feel like, considering the things that have happened to me in the last 2 years, with me moving to LA and then moving back, having lived there for 2 years, and I feel like I was a child when I moved to LA. I feel that is how extreme I feel like my maturity level has increased. I feel, and I was not like this. That wasn't my first time moving out of my parents' house or anything like that. Was not my first time living far away from family or anything. I just feel like compared to where I was and where I am now, I felt like I was a child, and probably in the next 5 years, I'll look back on being 28 and think, oh, I was a child at 28 too. So I was walking in a Ralph's, and this story, everybody, I apologize to those of you who have heard this story ad nauseum, but I'm telling this story for a reason. I was walking through a Ralph's. This was 3 weeks into having moved to LA. I was about to sign for my apartment. I was very excited to finally be out. I was staying in an Airbnb. I'd been living there for 3 weeks, and I hated it for various reasons. And I'm in the Ralph's, and I have not ever lived in an area like LA where the crime is such that you actually have to be concerned about this. But I left my purse in my shopping cart. And that day, again, I was on my way to go and sign for my apartment. I can't remember why I went to Ralph's. I think I might have gone to Ralph's because I had no dishes and I wanted to be able to eat the next day. I'm pretty sure that's why. I can't quite remember. They do have like silverware and dishware and stuff at Ralph's, and that's why I'm pretty sure that's why I was in there. And I was on the phone, so I was distracted, and I left my purse in my shopping cart, out in the little child seat area where normal women probably leave their purses. And somebody came up next to me, and I did not hear him. I did not see him. All I heard was the little chain that was on the handle of my purse make a little jingly noise. So I knew somebody had bumped it. So then I turned, and there was a man standing very close to me. Not terribly close, but close enough that I was like, okay, you're kind of getting in my space here. You're getting a little further than just in my space. What are you doing here? And he looks at me weird and then turns around and walks away. And I was alone in the aisle at the time, so nobody else saw what was going on. And the other interesting thing too is looking back on it, I'm really glad I didn't react right away because I probably would have had something bad happen. But so the guy walks off. And I think, well, that's weird. And then I thought, oh no, I had my iPad in my purse. And I'm looking in my purse thinking, oh, he stole my iPad. And then I'm like immediately processing, well, you know what? It's just an iPad. It's not that big a deal. You didn't have anything important on it. It's just, my iPad is generally like for my own personal like gaming or note taking or whatever. Change your password. It's not that big a deal. And then I look and my iPad's still in my purse. And let's not forget, I'm still on the phone. So I'm looking through my purse and I realize my iPad is still there. But I look a little bit deeper and my wallet is not there. So thus ensues the story of how someone stole my wallet in a Ralph's in Los Angeles, California. So this is going to get really exciting because this is the most adrenaline pumped I've ever felt in my life. Because it went from, oh my gosh, he stole my iPad, to, oh my gosh, he stole my wallet that had everything in it. When I say everything, I had my social in there. I had all of my cards in there. I had everything because I was about to sign for that apartment. I had everything that you would normally not carry in your wallet, in my wallet that day. And the guy just walked off with my wallet. So, again, I'm still on the phone. for some reason, and this has to be the adrenaline, I experienced tunnel vision and like tunnel everything because I do not remember anything. Like, apparently the person on the other end of the phone is hearing me say this guy stole my wallet, and I'm not hearing that. I don't remember. I was told this after that this is what was being said on the phone. I don't remember hearing that. I didn't hear anything. Nothing. Everything died. There was nothing else in my head other than this guy just stole my wallet. I just saw him go down the end of the aisle and turn left. So what did I do? I'm all dressed to the nines because I'm about to sign for this apartment. And I'm in heels. And I take off running down the aisle because I'm going to get that wallet back. I didn't know how, but this was the most enraged I've ever felt in my life. And I've always wondered why I've had some issues, not significant issues. Like, everybody gets angry. Italians get a little bit angrier than the rest of the people on the planet. And I've always wondered why I get so enraged, like, when I feel like somebody has wronged me or violated me. And, you know, sometimes you have to go and be by yourself in another room so you can cool off or go walk down the street or whatever it happens to be. I've always wondered why I've perceived myself to having more difficulty controlling emotions in that way. And I'm really glad that I have that problem now because the average Joe would not have turned around and chased down this guy. But I'm not the average Joe or Josephine. I'm the average Italian woman who just had somebody take something out of her purse that was very, very valuable. So I go tearing down the aisle. And I see the guy turning down another aisle, and he's on his way out, and he thinks he's scot-free. And I, again, have no plan other than to presumably tear the guy's face apart when I get to him. So I get down to the end of the aisle, I see him going down the next aisle, and I yell out, "That guy stole my wallet!" And I yelled it out so that everybody in the store can hear, the workers, everybody around me can hear. And everybody turns and stares at the guy. Nobody does anything, which is a little frustrating. I wish that somebody had actually acted other than me, but it makes for a better story, the fact that they didn't, I guess. But so the guy is now being stared down by the entire store. I mean, it's a packed store. It was Friday afternoon, and like when people are getting off school and everybody's like crammed into the store trying to get stuff for the weekend. And so this is a packed store. Everybody turns and looks at this guy, and I've just called him out loudly in my deep voice to explain that this man took my wallet. So the guy, and I'm ever so grateful for this happening because I, again, did not think this through. I did not think of what the consequences of me chasing him down and beating the crap out of him would be. You know, for all I know, he was going to stab me with a heroin needle and whatever else. Like, there are infinite number of ways that this situation could have gone wrong, and it didn't. And I'm very grateful now. But I'm standing there like I'm going to go beat the crap out of this guy once I can get him. And I'm also expecting that he's going to run. That was my entire expectation, was he's going to run. Hopefully somebody grabs him. If not, I'm going to chase him down, and he's going to remember me and probably never rob anybody again, or at least not try it for a very long amount of time after this, because he's not going to want to have run into me. But thankfully, the guy got nervous, got scared, and he takes my wallet out of his coat where it was and puts it down and walks away. And so I tear down and I grab the wallet, and I'm starting to go through it to make sure everything's in there. Social Security card is still in there. He hadn't had time to go through it. All my cash was still in there. I had $60 on me. Everything was still in there. He clearly thought he was off scot-free. He just got the gold mines. He had gotten an entire person's wallet. I would have given him the $60 in the wallet just to give me the social back. What was that going to do him any good? The guy was very old. He was maybe not very old. He probably seemed older than he was likely because of the conditions he's probably living in. But he was an older, gray-haired man, shaggy clothes. You know, he was a skinny guy. He looked like he probably hadn't eaten. You know, again, I would have given him the $60. Just leave my Social Security card, my credit cards, everything. Leave all that stuff behind, seriously. But let me just tell you the aftermath. The store and I do appreciate, there were some people that came up to me, and like there was one lady that came up to me to make sure that I was like physically okay, that the guy didn't touch me. Nobody touched me, but when somebody takes something of yours, it does feel like, it feels very similar to when somebody actually physically violates you. Everything, but there was a couple of Ralph's workers that came up to me to ask what happened. Nobody did anything. Like, I told them what happened, but nobody did anything. And I'm not calling out Ralph's. I'm not calling out anybody. I'm just telling a story just to say, this is what you don't do in LA. And this is what, and the entire point of this is an example of when you go from child to adult and when you do it very quickly. And that's kind of my entire Los Angeles experience, I feel like, going from I'd had probably almost 10 years of business experience under my belt prior to going to LA, but it was a very shocking experience, let's just say. That one instance is a good example of somebody going from having lived in nicer areas, having lived in more secure areas, whether it was the San Francisco Bay Area or in more rural areas, where you're not having to worry about looking over your shoulder like that. And now, jolt you into reality. This is how things are. And that's basically the larger point of what I wanted to talk about on the show today, is there's a certain point in your life where you have to stop looking at the world with rose-colored glasses and expecting that things are going to, turn out well, or expecting that people have good intentions, or expecting that things are safe, or things are as they appear, or it's important, I think, to have the courage to actually look at something and see it for what it is, read the signs as if you are an impartial member of jurisprudence or whatever. Like, you need to, sometimes you need those little slaps in the face of reality in order to come to grips with, this is what the situation actually is, and what you would like it to be, it's not actually what it is. So that's kind of my opening there. Basically, I mean, there's a couple of different things I wanted to talk about today, and some of them I'm still waffling about getting into. But I've just come to a realization over the past 2 years, and especially over the past couple of weeks, that there are things, we build things up, and we build up like these castles in our heads of, this is how the world is, and this is how I perceive this thing to be, and so therefore it must be that. That's just it's not a good way to live, unfortunately, because what you find when you grow up, when you actually grow up and you realize that the castles in the sky that you built up in your head, or the personalities that you attributed to people, that then you find out later on, oh, that person actually isn't what I wanted them to be, what I would have willed them to be. They're not actually as clean cut as I thought. Those kinds of instances in my life seem to have thrust me into this point of not ultimate maturity, not wisdom, but certainly a little more so than I had 2 years ago. So this is the thing that I didn't want to talk about on the show, but it's bugged me for about a week, and so I thought I would talk about it on the show. I wanted to talk about how people perceive you in real life. When people are trying to portray themselves as, I don't know, good people or respectable people or presentable people or people that are worthy of trust, it's important to behave in a manner in which, the idea that you can only do that you only have to behave in kind of a respectable way in your public life, and you can live in a less respectable way in your private life, that is a myth. Because what people don't seem to understand is what they do in their private lives, it will get shared. Eventually it will get shared. And this kind of brings me into my first example of, I want to speak directly to my male audience, because I know the majority of you are probably males. When you are behaving a certain way with women in your private life, be forewarned, women will tell other women. Women will do this for several reasons. They will do it because they're trying to brag, which is generally the reason at the forefront. They will do it also to warn other women, hey, so-and-so treated me like this. You might want to look out for this person. That comes across, whether they're trying to brag or not, that is the ultimate result in a lot of these in a lot of women's interactions between each other, because whether they're trying to brag about something or they're actively trying to warn another woman about something, that is what happens. So what you thought was private between yourself and a woman it's not going to be. It's not going to be, except for that 5 minutes or whatever it was. Because that woman will leave, and then she will go and tell the next woman, whether it is to brag about it or it is to warn the next woman, here's what happened. And it puts your reputation at risk, because the person or the woman that told the next woman is going to tell the next woman, is going to tell the next woman, unless they're a normal human being. Or a, not normal, but a more respectable human being, and they try to keep their private lives and the private lives of others private. But generally speaking, women will tell other women who will tell other women who will tell other women. And that will end up coming back to bite you in the butt. And that's kind of my message for my male audience is, you really do have to think about what you're doing in your private life as well as your public life. If you want to have a positive reputation, if you want to have a reputation that, and I'm not saying it has to be a perfect reputation, but the idea that you can behave one way in your public life and another way in your private life and that you can get away with that, probably not going to happen, because that woman that you spent time with in your private life is going to talk about that, and it will end up coming back and biting you in the butt, essentially. So the other point I wanted to make is speaking now to the women of my audience, because that it is a problem, I think, that women brag about their sexual conquests, shall we say. That they brag about it to other women, because what they don't think about is that sharing this information will ultimately damage both themselves, both their own reputation and the reputation of whoever the guy happened to be. And I just think that women need to be more careful about that. They need to, if you actually give a crap about the person that you're spending time with and that you're now gossiping about what you did with, you should think about what your sharing of whatever information you shared that was private. You should think about what that does to their reputation, because it can be sincerely damaging to that other person, and it can put their careers at risk. It can put their professional relationships at risk, and it's not, at the end of the day, you don't have to share that kind of information. You don't have to share that kind, unless you are actively trying to warn another woman about, this is how this person behaves, you need to stay away from them, or you need to avoid them in X setting or whatever it happens to be. Unless you're doing that, it's not something you have to share. It's not. Your private life is your private life, and you should keep it that way. And you should think about what the consequences of sharing that information is going to do, not only to your own reputation, because it will damage your own reputation, depending on who you tell the information to, but also to the guy that you're gossiping about. It'll ruin that person's reputation right along with your own. And it's really unfortunate that ends up being a thing. So that's basically my show for today. It's fairly quick, but hopefully we will have a video episode coming up next week. I'm really, really, really hoping that turns out. And I've got a great lineup of guests coming. Hopefully Jessica Fletcher from the Daily Caller I've been talking to. Classically Abby hopefully will be coming on the show as well. I'm really looking forward to having some of these new guests that are kind of, they weren't around. So I've been on Twitter for now 10 years, and I feel like I'm this aged soul. There's all these new Gen Zers coming into the whole Twitter conversation. There's all these new millennials that are just now getting into the Twitter scene, or they weren't as big 5 years ago and now they're starting to get bigger. And I'm really enjoying getting to bring them into the fold and having them as guests on my show. And also, I'm looking forward to bringing back some people like Aaron Bandler, for example, or Ariel Davidson. I'm hoping we'll have some sort of a fashion episode, and that will definitely have to be a video podcast, because that will be the highlight of probably the show so far. And then hopefully I'll be appearing on Neon Taster's channel coming up as well. So you guys have a lot of good stuff coming up to look forward to. You guys have a lot of hopefully video content coming out. I am going to continue doing some Minecraft videos because some people seem to like them. More of my weird gamery friends seem to like them than my average podcast listener. However, I think you guys will enjoy that. I think you guys will enjoy, I've got some dancing videos coming. I've got the footage. I just need to cut it together and put some music on it. And you guys will have some new dancing videos. And yeah, that's basically what's coming up, what's coming down the pike in the next couple of months. And so stay tuned. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Hopefully we'll be completely uploaded to SoundCloud. That is one final note I wanted to make. SoundCloud, I was having trouble with my account, which is why I stopped uploading to SoundCloud for a while. I now have my account corrected, fixed, and I'm working on mass uploading all of my episodes to SoundCloud. So hopefully we will have that up and running by the end of the month, and then I will be looking into getting the show on iTunes, so you guys will have many more options with which to listen to my show or not. So again, like and subscribe, look for me on SoundCloud, and hopefully coming soon to iTunes, and I will talk to you guys on the next episode.